We have a question from Phil. I had a brother named Phil, and I loved him. You've seen so many things come and go in the world of strength and conditioning. It's funny, Phil. I can't thank you for that segue enough, and I don't know how that happened. What are the things that you were initially skeptical of that won you over? Let's start with that, and then the next one is, and those that appeared to have great value at first, but turned out to be a bust. All right, no. We're going to do the second one first, okay, Phil? Anytime the word Bulgarian, Russian, or Soviet was thrust onto a workout or an idea, I now sit back and I call BS. I had a good buddy here. He's moved to Denver now, Vasily. And one day we were talking about the Soviet methods, and he's a Soviet. He was a Soviet weightlifter. He was a Soviet Olympic lifter. And he didn't say BS. He filled those letters out. And he said that the nonsense we were reading was nonsense. And then after that, I got this little skeptical eye, and I started calling and talking to people that were quoted in these Soviet articles. And almost universally, it said, I never did that. That's not true. After the fall, and just before the fall of the Iron Curtain, whatever we call it, the Berlin Wall, a whole bunch of people from the Eastern Europe started coming over here. And I'm the worst. I believed all the nonsense they said. One of the guys turned out to be basically a youth swim coach. And people still go, oh, he said things that Yuri Sadiq did in his training. Yuri is doing these exercises. Well, I used to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Yuri, the late Yuri Sadiq, world record holder in the hammer. And I would ask him, did you really do this? And the one time I asked him about the thing about doing the step-ups, he got so angry. It was funny because, usually he was pretty, it was a Soviet, so pretty stoic, pretty, he got excited about jazz music, and I think that's about it. And he just said, it was BS. Again, he didn't use the letters. He spelled the whole word out. And he goes, that person doesn't know me. He never talked to me. He never talked to Bondarchuk. He doesn't know what he's saying. And it was interesting because he got so animated because of this BS that they came up with. I went down word by word by word of what this person first did in the first workshops this person gave. And I followed up as best I could, and everything was BS. There was another guy who showed up, and he did a workshop here in Utah. And when we left, a group of us all got together and go, this guy is a lunatic. He certainly did like his growth hormone, I'll tell you that. But other than that, it's all BS. Vasily did add a couple things I think were important. One thing he said clearly was, and by the way, when you talk to a Soviet, it is like talking to somebody from Barcelona, is they do, when they get animated, they do start to turn those TS's into the sound. TH's, pardon me, and the S's into a sound. And he goes, well, if you're going to talk about the Soviet or Bulgarian system, you have to talk about drugs first. And I said, okay, PEDs, anabolics, injections, massive amounts. He said, don't forget the athletes were paid. Their job was to throw. And I remember one time I was talking to another Soviet. I won't give you names, but basically his job was to sleep 9 to 12 hours a day and have 2 training sessions, shovel all the food he could down the cafeteria and then take all the pills his coach gave him. If you live in a situation where you have a cafeteria, your coach gives you lots of drugs to swallow down as an athlete, and you're paid, well, good for you. And Vasily made a good point. He said, these could be life and death choices for your family, especially when things were rough. Being an athlete, a successful athlete, bumped you up. Here in the United States, of course, we have the same. Ideally, it's a little better now, but there was a long time with it. If you were a child of a coal miner, you could either work in the coal mines the rest of your life or become a really good football player. Certainly, certain inner city kids, they saw certain sports as the ticket out. Hey, hi, I'm Dan John, and I watched my brothers go to Vietnam and get, severely disabled, badly injured by combat. And I'm sitting around the kitchen table going, yeah, I better throw that discus a little bit farther. The reason I trained so hard in the weight room and threw the discus so much is I wasn't real interested in getting blown up in one of America's wars. So, okay, let's move on. Another conversation is kind of funny, but a buddy of ours, not long ago, we're sitting around and he was really talking about this amazing thing about the Soviet system. And I said, it's all BS. And he said, well, no, no, no. And I go, okay, summarize the Soviet system. And he said, well, they had variation. And I thought to myself, who doesn't have variation? I live in Utah. We have a fall that's a fall. There's snow there now. 6 months from now, it's going to be, it's going to be so hot we can't leave barbells and kettlebells outside because you'll literally burn your hands off. That's variation. When I was an athlete, I played American football, I wrestled, I did track and field, I did soccer, and I did basketball. There's variation. I just saved you guys a lot of money. There you go. There's variation in a nutshell. Okay, having said that, don't forget at the time, if you opened up American Journal, Athletic Journal, or Scholastic Coach, Arthur Jones had bought, 16, 17 pages of advertising, and it was telling everybody one set to failure is all an athlete needs. And of course, I now think that training to failure is training to fail. Ooh, that's a pretty good quote. So here we are in the 80s where all of our athletes are wearing neon-colored polyester clothes with headbands, going for the burn with the Jane Fonda VHS recording, doing those, those little, what did she call those? Fire hydrants, the fire hydrants and the bird dogs and fire hydrants, going for the burn because, if you get the burn, you'll be a better athlete. So all of our athletes are going for the burn. And these, East European athletes are lifting heavy weights and doing their sport. That's on us, folks. That's on us. When 1975, Arnold shows up with the book Education of a Bodybuilder and Pumping Iron. And then, of course, Conan. Conan's bigger than people think. That movie was bigger than people think. You got Jane Fonda and the East Germans and the Soviets are just training like I tell people now. We had a sprint coach come from Eastern Bloc, and everything this sprint coach said at this clinic I went to would have been the exact same thing Bud Winter said in 1968, the San Jose State sprint coach, to the point that in hindsight, I just think the person just copied and pasted Bud Winters and pretended it had some other fancy thing. Okay, now let's answer the first question. So what I might have missed, Phil, in this whole rant is I believed all of it. I mean, I subscribed to the magazines, I read the books, all these books that there's a kettlebell organization that just falls in love with this stuff. And there's always an asterisk on all that stuff to me. I believed it. I bought the Bulgarian Boost Protocol, the one where you fast 14 hours and then you take these tiny little bits of amino acids and you train like a psychopath for a couple hours, and then you ate. I did it all. I did everything stupid, and none of it worked, folks. None of it worked. Things I do regret. Oh, in fact, why am I even talking? What? Take my new course over at Dan John University, Game Changers. Let me just give you four. I'll give you four. Number one, I never appreciated hill sprints enough. I have replaced my old 2 times a week hill sprinting. I now do backpedaling. I have those titanium hips, so I have to be a little careful about the thud. And the other thing is I don't really live close. There is a hill right over in Wheeler Farm, just across the way there, which I use in the summer. But this time of year, it's way too muddy, way too wet, way too slick. So I do hill sprints on the plowed streets, backward sprints on the streets here. The other thing I didn't appreciate enough were chains, but it wasn't until Bigger, Faster, Stronger made the chains with the collar. So people were just throwing the chains over, hanging with rope. Bigger, Faster, Stronger made a collar with the screw down with a big heavy chain underneath it. I talked about it in just one of my little Instagram accounts the other day. Of course, the next thing, so the third thing would be, of course, easy strength. Easy strength is how we trained in the 1960s. And then I ignored it. And then I started doing it in 2003, 2004, and rediscovered what I learned in 1965, which just frustrates me more than anything else. And I guess there's a fourth one. I never appreciated recovery as much as I should. Hold on just a second. So I went to Costco the other day. Costco's a little, those warehouse stores, and there was one of these. This is this. I don't know. It's one of these little pulsating things. You press the button, and then you put it right where you. I did push-ups last week, and I'm still sore. And I've kind of come up with a training idea where I do this when I do my Hooper bar, which is that light bar that I do 3 squat snatches every 35 seconds for 30 rounds. And after the squat snatches, I do these on my hot spots. I do them downstairs because it's so cold, and that's how I warm up now. I'm taking the sauna a lot more seriously now. I'm taking meditation a lot more seriously. I think meditation is part of recovery. So yeah, so Phil, I know that was a longish rant, and I kind of went on for a while. But yeah, so first off, there's nothing new in elite sports, really hugely new, since people started lifting weights. Dave Davis, do your power lifts and Olympic lifts. I would add loaded carries. So do the basics of the power lifts, do basic Olympic lifts, and do loaded carries. Do those 3 days a week, work real hard. Recover. I like heat more than I like cold, and the research tells us that you get the same out of both. I don't have to worry about cold. I work in my garage here in Utah. I think you need a lot of vegetables. I think you need protein. I think you need water. Those are the 3 things my mom told me, and she was right, and it's still true. Nothing's news under the sun. I hope that helped. I know I went for a while, but I like that question, I think. So thank you. Thank you, Phil. Thank you.